beautiful. So returning home is the theme for this month. Returning home. And what a beautiful song to get the energy and the consciousness and the visual of what we're returning to. But as T.S. Eliot says, home is where we start from. Well, how can it be where we start from and what we're returning to? How can it be both and? Well, if we think of home as the stuff of which we're made, as we think of home being the God stuff, the life force energy that is creative and filled with potential and possibility and love and goodness and all that, and knowing, as we teach, there's an intelligence of which the world is made. I mean, it's the intelligence that we call God, that everything is made of, because God is all there is. This intelligence infuses everything. And it's constantly seeking, because it's active and alive. It is constantly seeking expression through each and every one of us. It is awake and alive and creative. The question, are you? Are you awake and alive and creative? Because this is a constant unfoldment in each of our lives. It is a journey of awakening. I know that Joseph Campbell called the journey the hero's journey. And he defined a hero as someone who could do great deeds and conquer great feats because they were not just doing it for themselves. They were doing it for a tribe, a civilization, humanity. But what you and I know already, being quantum physics religious scientists, and knowing that we have the faith, that we are part of this web of life, that all is one, and we cannot be disconnected. We heard that in our practicing the presence this morning. We cannot be disconnected. So whatever we do in life touches in some level, at some way, it touches the whole. So I would say that this hero's journey belongs to all of us. And the more awake and aware we are that we're on a circuitous journey that twists and tangles, and sometimes the path is straight and clear, sometimes. But other times it's twisty and curvy and tangly. And I would just say that in this ever unfolding evolution of life, that we should just have we should have 4 little words we just keep in our pocket. But wait, there's more. Always. So we can remember that we only get stagnant right there. When we forget that our thoughts are creative and we are continually creating, we can keep this hero's journey alive and awake and keep on keeping on. Now, in all of these journeys of finding ourselves, because that's really what our hero's journey is, finding the truth of who we are. You know, Jean Houston says, stop trying to figure out who you are. And she's my favorite teacher of possibilities, possibility thinking, the leader in that. She said, start revealing and uncovering your muchness, because we're already so much more than we can even imagine. Why are we out there looking and trying to figure out who we are when we just need to reveal the muchness of ourselves? So just say, I am so much. And even more. Right now. And always. That's it. Good. All right. Just revealing that much. And so on this hero's journey, it's all about finding the messages. The messages that give us the answers to the magnificence that we are. And I know this hero's journey, it absolutely encompasses myth. Osiris, Prometheus, all the myths that we know. It encompasses the religious faiths, Moses and Buddha and Jesus. And of course the fables and fairy tales, the Wizard of Oz, the Lion King, which we'll talk about in a minute. But all of these things are infused with the hero's journey, because I don't think there's anybody here who doesn't want to be a hero, that doesn't want to be somebody who's courageous and forward-moving in life and know that who they are touches and inspires and changes the world and life in its completeness. Right? Right? Don't we all want to be on that journey? Good. Good. Because I think the first journey, and this is a quote from the Gospel of Thomas, and he said, "The earth is spread with God's kingdom, the Father's blessings. The earth is spread with it all, infused with it, yet we don't see it. And why in the world would we not see all the blessings that surround us and fill us? It's because we are blinded by the material effects of the world. We are blinded by the effects, forgetting that every effect in this physical world first started as a thought, first started as an idea in mind. We get blinded by this, and we start getting seduced by the material world, and we miss the blessings. And then we think we have to be like everyone else, and so we enter the herd. I mean, there's another quote, if we want to receive the kingdom of heaven, we must become innocent like children. But instead we join the herd because we want to be like everyone else, forgetting that we are born curious. We are born wanting to discover, wanting to reveal. Now, one of the little hero's journeys I'd like to share this morning is the myth of the pearl. The myth of the pearl. Doesn't that feel beautiful? And it's the story of a young boy who came from wait a minute, let me tell it here. He was the son of the King of Kings. Divine King of Kings. And this son was sent to Egypt. Now, in metaphysics, we know that Egypt is a symbol of the material world. It is a symbol of corruption that can happen in the material world when we do get seduced by things. Don't start thinking that's the truth of life. And he was sent by his parents to go into Egypt to retrieve a pearl. Now, the metaphysical meaning of the pearl, I just like saying that word, pearl. It's just beautiful to say, is truth and wisdom and compassion and understanding. The pearl of great wisdom. The caveat here is the pearl was in a lake where the terrible serpent lived. And the serpent, the meaning, is evil. And evil is live spelled backwards. And when you talk about the power of good in the universe, but this power, we have free will to use this power, which is always good, but we have the power to turn it around and misuse it and use it, as we might say, for evil. So here was this boy who was of divine inheritance, and he goes out to Egypt, the material world, to get this pearl that's in this lake. And he goes and he knows he's on this quest, and he's filled with curiosity and he's filled with courage. And then he meets the Egyptians. He gets seduced into the material world, and he starts forgetting who he is. And he not only forgets who he is, but he forgets the journey he's on. And he gets pulled into limited, negative, not enoughness, unworthiness thinking, instead of remembering where I come from. He forgets that, and he starts sinking into smallness. But always in the hero's journey, there is a message from heaven. And he gets a letter sent from his father that reminds him of who he is and the journey he's on. He remembered. And so he was shaken awake. And he went back, and he went into this lake. He got the pearl because once again he had the courage and the curiosity to outwit the serpent, and went back and claimed his inheritance. He was not he broke the spell of the material world by recalibrating his thinking, by hearing the messages. And let me tell you, don't you know the messages are always being given to us? It's just sometimes we don't listen. Sometimes we forget. And we think, because we hear that this world is good, God is good, we hear all of this stuff, and we forget that goodness doesn't mean easy. The Hebrews have it right. In the word holy for the Hebrews in the Hebrew language means life intensity. They know that we are here to fully live life in all of its expression. That here in this physical world there is great paradox, and the wisdom comes from being able to hold this great paradox. And the idea that came to my mind, thinking about that, is I love kaleidoscopes. Does anybody else love kaleidoscopes? They're just so fun. I just like it because you look at them and you hold them to the light, and there's this great design, unique like a snowflake, like us, unique and beautiful, and unique and beautiful. And you love it, but there is this urge in us that we want it to see more. But wait, there's more. But when we turn that little thing, everything falls apart, right? All those little beads or rocks or whatever they are have to come tumbling down. And part of this journey to remember who we are, to come to that realization, means we've got to tear the walls down. Kids love to tear things down. And let me tell you something. We know from all that's been going on here, tearing walls down is messy. It's messy. Kids love messes. We don't so much sometimes. Messy. But if you think of the kaleidoscope, you turn it, it falls apart. You turn it some more and it comes back together in a new and beautiful way. The kaleidoscope. Life is holy, it's beautiful, it's just intense sometimes. Well, intense a lot of the times. And that's good because it means we're participating in life. It means we're involved in life. It means you and I are moving forward in life. And not caught in that web of smallness and littleness. But remembering we have the courage and the curiosity to move forward. Just like little Simba in The Lion King. And this story has a little different, because all our journeys are different and we have different things to learn. In The Pearl of Great Price, the young boy needed to learn not to be seduced by materialism. In The Lion King, it's a bit different. Here was Simba, born in the Pride Land to the king of the lions, Mufasa. Born to the king. He was in direct alignment to be the king of the Pride Lands. But Mufasa has an evil brother. Does anyone relate? Or sister? Just wondering. Who didn't have the same vision as Mufasa, and actually killed Mufasa so he could take over the kingdom, but made Simba think that he was responsible for his father's death. And that filled little Simba with guilt and shame, the lowest of the energies. And because of that, Simba snuck out of the kingdom to go live in the jungle with Pumbaa, the warthog, and Timon, the meerkat. And they taught him to eat bugs and worms. Not bad if you're a warthog or a meerkat. But for a lion who was born to be the king of kings, that's not where he's supposed to be. He actually enjoyed living in the jungle because it matched his guilt and shame. Are you getting the meaning? And so he lived there for quite a while. Yet what happened? Again, he got the message from heaven. And he heard the voice of his father saying, you must return to the kingdom. Because what had happened, Scar had taken over the kingdom, Pride Land, and turned it into wasteland. But as many of us, we hear the message and we don't follow it. Am I looking at you? Okay. He said, but the great teacher, Rafiki, the little baboon, came to teach him a lesson. He was the messenger to urge him on into his greatness. We all have those messengers in our life, and a lot of times they're packaged in very unique and fun ways, or maybe not so fun ways. But here's what Rafiki said. He said to Simba, Simba, change is good. And Simba said, but it's not easy. Going back means I have to face my past. And my past hurts. You see, he still thought he was responsible for his dad's death. And he had to go back. And Rafiki said, yes, the past can hurt. You can either run from it or learn from it. Simba chose to learn from it, and he returned to the kingdom for the happiness and joy of all of the animals, and took the kingdom over from Scar. And this is a beautiful coming to life story, remembering who we are, remembering that we're on a journey of unfoldment, and even if we go to the jungle and eat worms sometimes, or get distracted and seduced by the material world. But wait, there's more. There's messages that are constantly guiding and urging us into a greater expression of who we are. We simply need to take time and listen. We need to take time and listen. And I'm going to share a quote from the Science of Mind that is the answer to everything. So you better listen. It's from our Science of Mind textbook on page 483. It says, we learn that persistent, constructive thought. I want you to get that. Consistent, constructive thought doesn't mean, oh, I say a nice little affirmation in the morning, and I say it in the afternoon, and I say it in the evening. Will my life change? Maybe. Maybe not. It says persistent constructive thought is the greatest power known and the most effective. That means turning that little wheel on the kaleidoscope when everything's fallen apart to recreate a beautiful, unique design. Persistent, creative, constructive thought is the most powerful, is the most power known and the most effective. If the visible effect in our lives is not what it should be, if we are unhappy, sick, poverty-stricken, we know the remedy. We know it now. The remedy is that the truth, which is always the remedy, and the truth is the law of liberty. Take a breath on that one. The law of liberty. The freedom to think again, choose again, to know, but wait, there's more. It's that power that we possess in us, that intelligence that is always seeking to express. It is the only real law. When we reverse the process of thought, the effect will be realized. We live in this infinite world of possibility. There's a river of life, of aliveness, of energy, of goodness, of possibility flowing through all of us. If you and I search for the source of that flow of life, which is God, which is creative intelligence, which is unconditional love, our life will change. Our life will change if we seek the source of that aliveness that we feel. Last night I was thinking about this river of life, and I ran across this poem, and it so beautifully represented this river of life and the possibilities. And it's written by someone I deeply love, and that's my daughter. Not that I don't deeply love everybody, but this is just one person. And I thought it so beautifully, beautifully fit this process. It says, I see you floundering in the ocean of opportunity. waiting for the perfect wave to ride to the island of paradise. Swim, my friend, to the reef of unexpected happenings. Find the fish who carries your reflection and follow it to the unknown shore of possibilities. So when we get to that shore of possibilities and we feel like we have the answer, what do we do? What do we do when we feel like, oh, I think I have the answer. I know I have the answer. It's right here. But if we're on this continuous journey, it's always a time to ask a bigger question. A bigger question. And I found this quote again last night, and I loved it, but it was written by George Eliot. And I thought it said T.S. Eliot at first. And then I said, George Eliot, well, who's that? I wasn't sure who George Eliot was, and I like to research who I quote. I don't just want to quote somebody and find out they're some weirdo. So I looked at George Eliot, and George Eliot is really Mary Ann Evans. And Mary Ann Evans was born in the early 1800s, and she was born to a father who thought she was not very attractive. He didn't put it that way. But she was not very attractive and would never get married, so he provided an education for her so she could support herself. Well, that was kind of him. He didn't know the divine urge in Mary Ann Evans. And she went on to write a plethora of books. And many of them were written under the pen name of George Eliot, because she didn't want to be labeled a female writer who only writes romantic feminine novels. She was deep. She was a rebel. She challenged Christianity. She thought it had too many walls and too many boxes, and she took those walls down. And she was a rebel. Not only that, she got married, not just once. Her second marriage happened to be extremely open, and she talked about it. She shared it. I have an open marriage. And she was really a free-thinking, free-spirited person of her time. And this is the quote she wrote. She said, "What do we live for? What do we live for, if not to make life less difficult for each other? What do we live for, if not to make life less difficult for each other?" You know, in The Lion King, there's the song, The Circle of Life. And in The Circle of Life, one of the messages, as everything has layered messages, is about life can never be destroyed. The lion eats the antelope. And then when the lion dies and his body goes back to the soil, it grows the grass that the antelopes eat. The circle of life. On a higher energy consciousness, Albert Einstein says, energy cannot be created, it cannot be destroyed. It can only change form. And that's the business you and I are in. Continually changing the form of energy to be a greater expression. And when we feel we've moved out of some of our smallness into even a little bit of our muchness, we can understand that we are here for each other. The greatest gift in life is that we can be here for each other. So I'm going to invite you right now to just close your eyes, unravel yourself as we end this morning in a powerful consciousness of prayer, in a consciousness of the circle of life and the energy that we hold within ourselves, the muchness that we are, knowing truly, truly, truly that God is all there is, however we define it. Infinite intelligence, creative potential, unlimited possibility. It is that divine urge of life to be active, to create, and to express. And recognizing that is all there is, knowing that we are that perfect reflection and emanation of the God stuff. We are the creative energy, the unconditional love, the unlimited possibility infused with free will. On this continuous journey of awakening, recognizing, revealing our muchness, revealing truly the light of Spirit within us, through us, as us, around us. And simply in this moment, I invite us to breathe in and recognize and absolutely kindle the light of muchness in us, the light of Spirit, the awakening that happens when we recognize right here, right now, as we kindle and feed the goodness that we are. And take this journey and move through the smallness of any guilt or shame or unworthiness as we unlock ourselves from the attachment to this physical world and free ourselves. It is a time we recognize and know that we matter, we're worthwhile, we make a difference because we're alive. We feel in that knowing, it expands the courage, the desire, the curiosity that absolutely ignites us to join hands, join hearts, join energy in knowing that peace and love and possibility are possible. We are changing the form right now in everything we think, we say, we do. We may not see the effect of it in the world yet, but as we take a peaceful step, as we take a loving step, as we take a courageous step on our journey, as we take a step of generosity, of gratitude, of appreciation, of love, it is in that movement that we are creating a whole new world. It is in this beautiful circle of life that doesn't circle round and round, but up and up in a spiral unfoldment of the good that is happening right here and right now, of which we know we are a part. I invite us to simply let that vision right now of a world that is awakened, a world that is filled with peace and love and joy and possibility and abundance and love and gratitude and appreciation and all that is good. I simply invite us to let it go, release it into this mind that ever waits for us, to feed it with the forms to bring to this world. I know in this moment, we feel the love, the goodness, the joy that is happening right now as we circle our life, this world, with all that is good and true, all that is blessed and is a blessing. It is in this moment we just say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And together we say, and so it is. And I see for each and every one of you the difference you make right now, the difference you are making, and the good that is absolutely unfolding. I bless you all, and thank you very much.